guys, Nick here from Just View Studios, and welcome back to another, not quite movie review, but it's actually a show review for Netflix's Defenders. Or is it Marvel's Defenders? Netflix's Marvel's Defenders! It's something like that. So, this is my first ever show review, I think. I think it is. Not entirely sure on that one, but I'm pretty sure it's my first actual Netflix review. Because, yeah, I do watch quite a bit of stuff on Netflix, not as much as I used to, but, I was actually going to review Daredevil Seasons 1 and 2 when both of those came out, but at the time I was so focused on movie reviews that I didn't want to, do show reviews quite yet, but if you guys want, I can start doing show reviews. But the reason why I wanted to talk about Defenders today is mainly because I'm a huge Daredevil fan. As you can see on the set right here, got a couple of things. Comic featuring Elektra, Luke Cage comic, and Daredevil comic. I have a lot of Daredevil comics. Unfortunately, this was the only one I can find. Let me actually hold it up so you guys can see it a little bit better. But, ew, this one actually has Bullseye in it, which is cool. And then I also collect a couple of little Daredevil figurines, but I loved Daredevil Season 1. Season 2 I thought was okay, not nearly as good as Season 1. It kind of lost me when it was trying to go with Punisher, but also the whole magic hand thing. It was kind of a weird tone, but Season 1 of Daredevil I loved. Which, while I'm kind of on this topic, let me go over the Netflix shows that tie into Defenders that I have and haven't seen. I have seen Daredevil Season 1 and Season 2. I've seen Jessica Jones. I have seen most of Luke Cage. Like, 3/4 of it. I didn't finish Luke Cage, but I saw most of it. And I did not watch Iron Fist because of the horrible reviews that I saw of it from both critics and people that I know. But now, jumping into Defenders, our not quite movie review, our show review, though. And one of the things I found most fascinating about this kind of started off is the fact that to watch Defenders, you don't really need to watch the other Defenders shows. Does it help? Yes. It helps an enormous amount to watch the other shows, I won't deny that. But you don't need to. Again, having not finished Luke Cage and having not watched Iron Fist, I felt like I was missing nothing watching the show. With that, if you do watch all the shows, you might notice there are a couple times that will annoy you where they overly explain what happened in the other shows, because I feel like they assumed that if you're watching Defenders, you didn't watch the others. A pretty weird assumption, I might add, kind of shows you don't have that much faith in your properties, but it helps if you actually didn't watch the other Netflix Marvel shows, but if you did watch them, you might get a little annoyed by that. But since each show in the Netflix Marvel universe has a very different style to it, like Luke Cage has that yellow kind of, I don't know, if yellow undersaturated look to it. Daredevil has that kind of black and white monochromatic look with some heavy colors here and there. Jessica Jones was very similar to Daredevil tonally, but featured more of that purple and kind of trippy feeling to it. And Iron Fist was just kind of shaky cam action sequences, but you get what I mean, each show had their own tone. Until the Defenders actually meet and decide to team up, the first 2 episodes are all in the tone of their own respective Netflix shows. The scenes where it's just Daredevil are shot just like you're watching Daredevil Season 3. The scenes where it's Jessica Jones feels like you're watching a new episode of Jessica Jones. Luke Cage, when he's on camera and it's just him, it still has that yellow gel on it, and everything has that heated yellow monochromatic look to it, which I thought was really awesome, and it made you feel like when they did come together, it was justified, because you saw them each on their own, so when it did come together and the styles kind of started to align, it felt more natural. I don't know. And the fights were interesting, kind of in that same tone, how it was all shot like their original shows. The fights were kind of similar, because they definitely varied, and you could tell, depending on who directed what episode, the fighting reflected. For example, the first scene in Defenders was with Iron Fist, and it was a fight scene. So the first thing you see in Defenders is a crappy shaky cam action fight scene, where you cannot tell what is going on. First off, don't start your show off like that, especially when I know by the end of it that it was good. That's a horrible way to start it off. And secondly, the show, when it has all these really cool one-shot action sequences, but still has a lot of quick cutting shaky cam action sequences, the tone and pacing of each fight just feels so out of place sometimes. You can't tell exactly what it should feel like. But luckily, all the characters had really great chemistry together. Luke Cage and Iron Fist were an amazing duo together, because Iron Fist was like yeah, I'm really cool, I have a magic hand. And then Luke Cage would just give him infinite amounts of crap for just saying magic hand. Jessica Jones and Daredevil. Jessica Jones is kind of the no BS cop walking around next to a guy wearing red tights. There's gonna be some good jokes there. And overall, like, the jokes all felt like they landed, they weren't really forced, and they just had this great chemistry. It's almost like what the DCEU is trying to do but can't quite do, where it's feeling like it exists in this dark world, but there's still that humor to it. Defenders did that very well. And if I had to call out one actor, 100% Charlie Cox. I can never go back and watch the original Daredevil movie with Ben Affleck ever again because of Charlie Cox. Not because the old Daredevil movie was bad, it kinda was though, but just because Charlie Cox is so good. Anytime he is on screen, either as Matt Murdock or Daredevil, my eyes are glued to him, especially when he's Daredevil. He just looks so dang intimidating in his red costume, it looks so good. And funny enough, Defenders, the team-up show, is actually shorter than all the solo shows. All the Netflix solo shows ranging about 13 episodes, whereas Defenders was only 8, and I felt that that was a perfect amount, or at least close to a perfect amount. In fact, it left me wanting more, which is a good thing, so that's why I kind of say it's a perfect amount, but maybe 10 would be a better number. But I had no problem with 8. 8 left me wanting more, which is the feeling your audience should have if done right. However, that final episode, while amazing, was about 10 minutes too long. The fight ended and there was still 15 minutes left of the episode. While technically in a general story arc, when you have the rising action and falling action, all that's technically true, you should have that extra time. It didn't fit well, especially how the final fight ended for it to be this big climactic thing, and then to have 15 minutes of them just kind of twiddling their thumbs. It felt really weird. Cut that out, have maybe 5 minutes after that final action scene to touch on a few things and then call it good. And also, I didn't have a problem with this, but a lot of people I've seen online had a problem with that reason why the final fight happened felt kind of like a cop-out. I didn't really have that problem, but you might. It was the fact that they're amping it up to be this really big thing when in reality it wasn't. So I guess just be prepared for that if you haven't seen Defenders. But what would I give Defenders on my normal 1 to 10 rating system? I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10 stars. While not as good as Daredevil Season 1, it has got to be probably my second or third favorite season of Marvel's Netflix, universe. I really enjoyed it and actually binge-watched the entire show, finished it in 24 hours, which I never do for any shows ever, but I did that for this show, so that should kind of tell you that I really enjoyed it. Granted, I'm a little biased, huge Daredevil fan, but I just loved that show. But how would it do on a date? Say you had the cute girl from across the street coming over, wanted to watch some Netflix, sit on the couch. Would this be a good show to put on? Of course, it varies from girl to girl, but I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10 stars, assuming that she is willing to sit through 8 episodes of a superhero show. That's kind of the big if there, but if she is, this show will be perfect, because of the final fight alone. I can't spoil it, while I would love to. It made me so emotional because it was so well done. It was two characters fighting who didn't want to fight each other but kind of had to. So every punch was that, I don't really want to do this, but I gotta. It was so good. If you guys want me to make a spoiler video or a top 5 Easter egg video or something along those lines, let me know in the comment section down below. I'd love to explain more about that. But thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Share this video with all your friends, and I will see you guys on the next one. Stay classy. Later. Woo!